Cool. So while we are adding the chairs for our panels, I just want to say that, yeah, those topics are not coming randomly, right? So we are deciding specific topic based on specific discussion. So tonight we have two main topics. So chain abstraction and restaking, right? So how many people, how many developers do we have in the room? So we kind of like try to understand. Okay, cool. So we have some people. I see a lot of familiar faces. So without further ado, I want to also invite our panelists on stage. I think I saw them. Yes, there you are. So please come on stage. Don't be shy. We will not ask you to rap. I saw Nader on the back there. Yes. And we need those mics. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Awesome. I think we need a couple of mics here on stage. Cool. Let's in the meantime, let's get started with a quick round of intros.
I'm Edgar. I'm protocol specialist at Kern. I'm excited to be here. Lovely web session. I'm afraid this will not be like less with the rhythm, but I'm sure you will appreciate it.
Oh, that's nice. No, actually, let's do it well. Like, let's do 3, 2, 1, shush. Okay, 3, 2, 1, shush. Come on, let's try it again. 3, 2, 1, shush. Okay, cool. Come on.
Hey everyone, I'm Kenneth. I'm a DeFi growth lead contributor at Lido DAO. I deal with the growth of Steve in DeFi. Happy to be here and welcome to Builder Night.
Welcome to Builder Night, yeah.
Hey everyone, Misha, co-founder Symbiotic, generalized shared security protocol.
Nader Dabit with developer relations with EigenLabs.
Oh, that's super interesting to have you guys on board, actually. Let's actually like take one step back a little bit. What's the kind of like state of restaking today? Nader, you can start, but feel free everybody to just jump in.
I don't know. I think that I would like to actually start off maybe with a couple of takes, and I know you're the moderator, but I'm wondering about the what people's thoughts are about the Beam discussion from Justin Drake yesterday, like a 30-second like overview of, because a lot of people here are kind of experts in the Ethereum ecosystem. I would love to hear the perspective from a few of y'all before we dive into that. I think it does relate to what we're talking about a tiny bit, actually. So
Yeah, it was like long awaited. Like my personal opinion, and not as a protocol leader, I would like to see something more ambitious. That would be really nice. Because like that, there are a lot of optimizations and long needed updates. Like we're all for it. Like I'm really excited about that. But like, show us the moon.
I think, of course, I also have to give like a opinion of like my own personal opinion. Like generally, I didn't read through like the whole context and everything of like what does a beam chain mean and all that. But like the TLDR, I kind of understand it as like we don't need that much block space, right? So that's kind of like bearish ETH price now. But yeah, like what Misha mentions, not really like that big an upgrade or anything that's too ambitious, but personal opinion.
Yeah, the problem was that they hyped it a lot on Twitter before, like, oh, it's gonna be like one-shot signatures, quantum cryptography. We won't need validators anymore. But then it was like, yeah, it's gonna be better. Like we fixed a lot of things with that.
Yeah.
Quantum proof, right? That's why. Yeah.
Quantum proof and stuff. That's why they were not speaking about Ethereum 3.0, right? Yeah. Well,
my take is Ethereum has never been fast and it's never been cheap. So I don't understand why people are so up in arms about it not trying to be fast and cheap. It's never been fast and cheap. It's been secure. It's been trusted. It's been hardened. I think if we incrementally improve it, then everyone else that is talking about that maybe doesn't understand the value proposition in the first place.
No, Ethereum started cheaper and faster than Bitcoin. That was the value proposition from the start. And like they had like 3 main points. Like smart contracts, nobody was like actually understood what there was. Like people like, okay, yeah, you can sell soda on chain. Like who would need that? Because the main example was the like automation. Like you put $1 in, you get one bottle of soda. And yeah, like mostly people were interested because like you could mine it without ASIC, and it's faster and cheaper than Bitcoin. So like it was long time ago, so people forgot probably, but like no, that was the promise.
But even if it became as fast and as cheap as Solana, it's still literally like 3 or 4 orders of magnitude less scalable than something like DynamoDB or any database that we think of in a traditional application. And not only that, but these blockchains are sharing block space with every application that's ever been deployed there and all of those users. So I just don't see how we could ever get to that point. I'm like more of a proponent for like scaling horizontally while you scale vertically at the same time. I don't know. We disagree there, but I see where you're coming from.
But I mean, we need to say also like the state of research completely changed. Like, just look at ZK, literally all our kind of like debate that we're having right now, like, ZKVM, T, all the co-compressor stuff. Like I'm saying like the state research is changing. And also like, I'm not saying we were expecting also something like more, but I think this drastically improved also like the vision on how to build a much lower layer with different kind of like requirements. And let's remember also like, this is also like kind of like a path, right? I think what is that, 5 years specific, right? So
Yeah, a lot of things can change in 5 years. Like we saw the roadmap, and we saw how long it takes us to do simple things, and how long it took us to do simple things in the past. And so on the side it said 5 years, so it could be 8 years, maybe it can be 4.
In 5 years, EigenDA will be at around 1 gigabit per second, which will enable around 50 million transactions per second across the network. And that would be a single instance. If there are multiple instances, we're talking about hundreds of millions of transactions per second. So I think like when you kind of look at it at that time frame, you have to kind of come to the realization that anyway. But I'm sorry I took us off topic.
We said no shield.
This is actually like
yeah, exactly. I'm not shilling.
I'm joking.
But you're right. I mean, I'm speaking from maybe the perspective, I should say, of an AVS with that I would say architecture as opposed to a specific product. Even with Symbiotic, there is a data availability layer that's being built that is with a similar architecture.
No, that's super cool. This is actually what we want, right? We want really like to embrace this kind of like discussion between, I don't want to just ask you guys question and you respond. And actually you kind of like dive in already in the state of like kind of like restaking, where also like it needs to go. Like I just want to actually ask like, what were the challenges until now from both the users and the developers perspective? Because I don't know if we have enough tooling, both could be for AVS developer specific, but also like could be like on the other side.
Yeah, it's similar to in the early days of Ethereum. Like you didn't have Brownie, like other like Slither, other instruments and tooling that developers use daily to write good like Solidity code or Viper code. In a similar way for restaking, we don't have yet good built-in blocks, because the promise is that you come and you don't have to like. You don't have to take the tedious journey of decentralization and go with it alone. You have like amazing SDKs. You have like supportive stakeholders like LRTs or other money managers that are like, they have sophisticated models for you to use and for you to be scored at within like days, not like months or weeks. Then you get like you already have like this configurator for validator set, an operator set, so you can like pick and choose. Like I have like, I don't know, like 80% of like big validators, like 15% of like smaller ones, and like 5% of a community staking module or something like that. And it's all written for you. Like you don't have to develop a lot. So for that, like, and then you get like to a good validator set, and then you have like a lot of other tokenomic or other mechanisms already created for you. And to that moment, it's gonna take like 2025, I guess, if we are successful. And after that, we'll see like speed of innovation really picking up, and like builders being like using this tooling to speed up the process of launch.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Misha. I think in the future, in the long term, shared security networks are going to just make it like so easy for AVSs, networks, NCNs, however you want to call them, to just like get the security and focus on building. For a lot of protocols, like the validator part can be a bit of a pain, and shared security networks, EigenLayer, Symbiotic, they plan to solve this problem. from the validator's perspective, the current state of restaking is we still don't have enough clarity of the other side. So we know there are AVSs that are building, we know there are networks, but we don't necessarily know like how they plan to incentivize like shared security. Like right now, like we have the programmatic incentives in EigenLayer, but there's not many like really like meaningful rewards to be sent on the supply side. And I can understand the other side also. Like they don't yet have slashing. I think we have to say that like the current state of restaking is that restaking is not fully shipped yet. And when it will be shipped, when AVSs will have like slashable economic security, then they'll be like much more incentivized to pass on rewards to the other side.
I just wondering, how many of you guys are doing staking today? Raise your hand. How many of you guys are doing restaking today? Just trying to understand. Okay. So from the user perspective, you guys have a little bit answered the question also. Well, please go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, I completely agree with what Edgar say. But the good thing is that like before all these go live and everything, we're in a market where speculation is rife, speculation is heavy. People actually don't mind that. They don't mind whatever they're given, even though it's not like actual incentives to run AVSs and stuff like that. We still see like great demand, like easily whenever Symbiotic has a cap lift, boom, filled immediately, almost immediately. Also like and this is like a trend that we've been noticing in terms of like DeFi on even Steve, like us launching with Lido, the Aave instance, the Lido instance on Aave, immediately all of that demand gets filled, and that's because there's a clear demand for like speculation, regardless of whether or not slashing is live, incentives are live. So we're still at like I guess early innings, if I like to call it that, for restaking. So people are still generally bullish and participative on it.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a little bit security. Obviously, I think you're super keen, Nader, on developer experience. What today you think are the trade-offs, like around, could be AVS development, could be like staking tooling, or even developer tooling? Because more we go away from the VM, more we go, like, there are always different kind of like trilemmas that we need to kind of like conquer. We see different kind of like choice of design architectures, but can everybody touch a little bit on like, what do you think are these trade-offs? And which use case you think you should optimize following like a specific like peak of trade-off?
I think it's very simple. You're constricted within the blockchain VM that you're working in, move VM, EVM, SVM. You are very restricted from what you can do. If you want to build anything off-chain that's verifiable, it's a massive effort. Restaking allows developers to build any application that they want in Rust, TypeScript, Go, Python, any language that you want, and then you just do the verification on chain. It's a brand new developer platform. It's opened up just a massive design space to do basically anything that you can possibly think of. We're very early though with the developer tooling, like you mentioned. Ultimately, we're planning to make it as easy to build arbitrary networks as it is to write a smart contract. We're in the early stages of that, but we're already seeing tooling like Layer, Authentic, AltLayer, build out these abstractions to make it that easy. So ultimately, we're essentially escaping these restrictions of the different VMs and allowing developers to build, just like AWS opened the doors to people building cloud applications. Vercel opened the door for people building web applications, 100x easier. The App Store allowed developers to build mobile applications and have distribution. This is a new developer platform that I would kind of compare to those developer platforms. It is kind of a 0 to 1 moment for those things.
So go for it.
No, I completely agree, but Heroku opened the doors, not IVS. They were like late.
Good point.
Okay, yeah. Except that, I completely agree. Networks should compete in feature sets. They should never compete in decentralization. Decentralization should be like universal across the board. And this is the problem. You still need to develop a lot, but you don't need to develop the part of that secures your network. Like consensus models, everything that you need to use for your tokenomics is still gonna be developed. But the part that you launch proof of authority or multi-sig should never happen again. After 2025, this is the deadline for me. We need to stop this in 2025. Multi-sig launches for multi-billion-dollar protocols should never happen again. Because like we are better than this. We should like, yeah, because like after this there's gonna be talks like, oh yeah, like we should have expected that like $20 billion were wiped out immediately within 1 hour. Like no, we know that like we have a history of these things happen. Like Sapphire, 3 euro capital, everything like that. You give me your money, like I have a multi-sig, your money are gonna be safe. You're gonna receive the 15% to your USDT like deposit. Like this never ends well.
100%, yeah. What do you
but-
think? What do you think are the solution then?
What?
What do you think are the solution then?
Symbiotic. No, like
Said no shill.
we
Chilling.
promised not to shill, but like so I'm gonna be using generic or generalized restaking protocol. Yeah, restaking is powerful. It can help you like start immediately with economic security. You don't have to wait for foundation, for like for your token to be mass market, for your like exchanges to list it. You can start testing traction without that immediately with security, with like security big enough and robust enough to onboard billions. So you can test your traction within like weeks, hopefully, not like months or years. And the most like the more important even part of it is that each network that launches or AVS that launches helps the other ones. It paves the way because like it's not done in isolation. You have a framework that was used that is refined each time a new network comes, and like you experience a new network type. Say it's pre-confirmation network, completely different mechanisms, right? You don't restake between protocols, you restake between validators. So like you can use one Ethereum to protect like 100,000 validators because it's like sequential. And for each network, the framework is refined. The tooling is developed further. And the network that comes like after the like second or like third or fifth or 10th or 20th, it's gonna be, each network will be easier because you can like, even if you can't use the code is licensed or like locked somewhere or something else, you can still see the example of network being launched and utilize that experience. If not directly, then indirectly. And this like set of initiatives, if done correctly, if done in a safe manner, can stop these like unsafe practices. Because like we don't want to fight the human nature. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to choose the right thing to do.
It looks like you're saying it's really cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that, right? I think also like is a good vision, right? Like also like the reality, my problem is like right now there is no enough interoperability around staked assets. How we are solving these kind of like things, right? Because from the user perspective, check out what with Polymarket, right? Like majority of sign-ins are SSO sign-ins, majority of kind of like logins are kind of like Web2 logins, and no one really cared that was deployed on Polygon. Like what I want to say is that from the user perspective, how we are avoiding and we are solving this kind of interoperability around both restaked and staked assets.
Are you saying that the user that wants to restake their asset and then have more utility with their token, or maybe essentially restake across multiple platforms,
Yes,
enabling that? I mean, I think that it's just a massive design space. We're seeing a lot of experimentation, a lot of people doing different things. I don't think it's the highest priority for most users though, because it's so new already. They're just learning and things like that.
Okay.
So,
but then let me rephrase the question, like who is kind of like taking care to build this kind of standardization framework so that we don't build a multiple ecosystem where we force users to just stay in one ecosystem rather than other? Whose responsibility is that?
So there isn't one that I know of across the different platforms. I do think though, because Ethereum, by nature and blockchain by nature is permissionless and people can fork and innovate and do whatever they want, that we're gonna hopefully see something that just ends up winning out, and then that will gain support, or potentially a team will create a standard that other people adopt. I just don't know the answer to that. So,
Personally, you want to go? Personally, I think that there will at least be like a different framework per L1 I don't really believe in like a future where there's going to be like one restaking platform, like taking all of the collateral and going to be like securing all of the protocols. I think there might be like a winner takes most per L1, but for sure there's going to be like different L1s that are going to have their own shared security networks, because like if you're building on Solana, most likely you want to be like aligned with Solana. If you want to build Bitcoin L2s, you want to be aligned with Bitcoin as the economic collateral. If you're building on Ethereum, you want to do. Misha is not agreeing with me, but I think that like you want to have like different types of collateral for different types of use cases, and I think you also want to have like different shared security networks for different like big protocols, big L1s.
You can still use one platform. You don't need like to fragment and lose network effect. I feel like people restake. Sorry, shared security is different to other DeFi primitives in a way that it's way more easily bridged. Because like if you have like I don't know, AMM or like lending protocol or something else, and you want to breach the asset that is a product of that or like is used there, you need a bridge that's like semi-quick. And for restaking, the messaging layer can be really like simple and really slow. So the security assumptions are completely different. So for at least like for our protocol, you don't have to transport assets to to Ethereum to use them. They can stay on Solana, they can stay on Bitcoin, they will stay on Bitcoin. Like there is no other choice. Like there is no way to like destroy them there and print them there. So they can be, you can use assets from different ecosystems. And again, any language you like to write off-chain parts. So it's not like locked to Solidity or something. You can use Rust or anything else and spin your networks within the ecosystem that you're a part of. But still, trust root is going to be on Ethereum. The registry is going to be on Ethereum. It's going to be similar to what Polygon proof of stake had when they had like the registry of validators and staking done on Ethereum, and like they performed like on the side chain, they performed validation completely isolated from that, but like looking at the list in Ethereum still. So yeah, like restaking can be done. So like if Jito decides that, like if Jito, by the way, great design, finds product market fit on Solana that we are both missing on Ethereum, every protocol that starts, every new network that starts on Ethereum can use Solana. It's a bit like, it's not a great construction, but they can. Without transporting, without siphoning and vampiring assets to Ethereum ecosystem, they can still build their own like restake networks on Solana by using Sol tokens, while and using like building Ethereum infrastructure by using Ethereum without siphoning that. So that there is a difference. That's why I'm not sure like why we need restaking protocols on anywhere but like Ethereum.
To launch tokens.
You're bad. Like
I mean, it's true, I guess, right?
It is.
I try to think better of people. But yeah, like you don't need to deploy. It's like we received a lot of requests like launch there, launch on Rollup 2, on Rollup 3. But each launch, it basically creates a new like source of truth and like trust root for your like operator set and your stake, and it fragments the system. You probably can design it in a way that it syncs somehow, but like why should you? That does not deliver any actual value.
Yeah, I mean, somehow I agree a little bit with you, Misha, because right now we have a lot of layer 2 fragmentation. I think the next big topic will be digital identity fragmentation, because all attestation and ZK proofs will be done and attested in other like chains, right? The question is also like, restaking fragmentation. That's why I was trying to understand from you guys, like, who will be the party that kind of is in charge to build this kind of like standardization of frameworks, right? I think Eigen definitely could take this role, but I mean, there is no clear answer here, right? Yeah.
If we knew the answer to that, we would be billionaires. Like people are trying to figure that out. Like we have like base sequencing to unify stuff. We have like intent protocols trying to do that. At least like, I think out of 40 networks that are in a pipeline, the bigger ones, we have like 6 that are trying to, like, or 7 that are trying to solve this particular problem. Yeah, but like, it shouldn't be like that for staking protocols. Like Ethereum won in that. We have like the most diverse community of builders, the most tooling, the most like security features. But that might change and like we'll move. That's fine. But like restaking protocols do not need the base layer to be quick, cheap, or like fast finalization or something like that. We can be really slow with that because like our horizon that we use is like lockup window for the vault. Like if it's shorter, if we can do it like in 14 days, probably like fine with us, or like a month. So like it should be a really slow blockchain that we can't utilize.
I would like to get some question from the audience. Please prepare something, but quick question. What are the things, and last question here, but what are the things that you would like to see in the short term to either be built or to be shipped to users?
Apps.
Consumer-facing apps, right? Because today we don't really see that. Yeah.
We have clickers, no? Consumer-facing app. No, like people
yeah.
are spending hours, like millions of hours there.
I think there's something to be said about protocol-led development. Like if you look at Farcaster and Warpcast, Warpcast doesn't exist without Farcaster and vice versa. They built this protocol that enabled this front end. Polymarket didn't exist without their back end, their infrastructure. I think when people think about infrastructure, they don't realize that you can actually build those two in parallel. You build out the application that is differentiating based on that infrastructure, and that's how you'll build out something that is significant as opposed to just thinking that you need to do one or the other. And I think that that's another reason why restaking just opens the doors to a lot of potential.
Safely. Like the keyword here is safely. Like you can be fast, but you can be safe at the same time. Like that's the only job for restaking. Make you fast in testing your concepts while keeping you safe.
It looks almost like a rapper. Cool. So any question, guys? That we are almost at time.
What's up, guys? I appreciate y'all's time. Great insights. I wanted to ask, what do you all think about the systemic risk introduced by restaking? And the reason that I ask is because, obviously, the more yield-bearing assets that a restaking protocol supports in a way is helpful to both protocols. But the issue is that some of those assets, they need to be audited. Some of them use, multiple vaults, different strategies. And so if you get into, TVL in the billions, you could, really fuck up. So what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Can you expand on that? Like,
Yeah. So an example would be if a restaking protocol accepted Athena, right? A USDE, right? And as we know, and this is no shade to USDE, right? Or Athena, no shade. But it's not principal protected, right? So you could have a situation in which you have billions of dollars vested in USDE and it's restaked, and you have a black swan event, which a few years ago we didn't think was possible, but we now know that's happened multiple times now. So I mean, how do restaking protocols think of that, or how do you all think about that in general?
So in this situation, you would say there is like $1 billion of USDE securing like $500 million in transactions on some Oracle. Something happens and someone gets slashed, and then the USDE goes down to 0, and there's no way to actually slash that event.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't think we've gotten to that point where we've even had to address that yet. We actually don't have slashing implemented because we are still trying to figure out all the answers to a lot of these challenges, but they have slashing implemented. So I think he has the answer.
yeah, use basket of tokens.
Or just use Steve.
No, yeah.
No shield.
So you're saying it is not permissionless. You cannot allow anyone to just use USDE?
No, it's up to the network. Network selects what sort of tokens.
But if someone did theoretically do that, then that could happen.
No, we will guide them at the beginning, like try to create a safe economic base. There are multiple metrics to evaluate here based on liquidity, underlying minters and like the rules and like roles and a lot of other stuff. Of course, if you have like a centralized contract that can mint infinitely this token or like destroy it or like burn it or lock it, it's not a safe safe economic base for your network. But there are ways to counteract that using baskets of tokens, using like some form of like in case of Ethena, they can use some portion of like Bitcoin as well, or like STETH with Lido, or like any other flavors of derivative tokens. This is like an open question. I think we'll end up with the networks being secured by group of aligned tokens. In case of Ethena, yeah, they're trying it. They're trying to figure out how to like best do that. But they're like painfully aware about like security assumptions. Yeah. So yeah, like if you're like same goes for a lot of things in shared security. There is no systemic risk if you're smart about it. If you're using one size fits all, like one slashing mechanism, one reward mechanism, one like I don't know, delegation mechanism, that's it. Like we know what's best for you. Then you have systemic risks. If we tell you, you can select, we can guide you, we can help you, we can like try to educate you in the best way possible. But we're not taking away your freedom. You can select tokens that you like. But better if you don't use the same stuff if you're using diverse stuff, because like the first word in economic security is economic. In economics, we know how to hedge our bets, right? It's not it's not a miracle science. It's actually like something well developed. So I think we'll see, like we'll start easy and we'll start simple. Probably like one or two, like 2 or 3, I think, tokens for each network. But then we'll move to more sophisticated mechanisms. Like one token that you use might be an insurance token that magically is minted. Like one token that in the basket that you use might be something like anti-Bitcoin or something. That's like mimics but inverse curse of Bitcoin or something. So you have same like long-short mechanism that like Ethena has. Or something.
So I mean, you're saying that like in a complex version of this at scale, you might even have hedging mechanisms integrated within your bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Cool. That's it.
That's why it's so fun. Like we have a lot of things to do.
The building is just starting. Okay, cool. Awesome. So big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for listening.